Thank you. I'd like to start with a true story. About 60 years ago, two young mothers, Lily and Berta, used to sit next to each other in Dunstan Road Synagogue in London. Each Shabbat, in between davening, they would chat about their lives, their young children, their hopes and dreams for what they might achieve, who they might marry, how many grandchildren they might have, the usual things that Jewish mothers worry about. Fast forward to today, and at least two of those grandchildren are at Limud today. So I, unsurprisingly, am Lily Bogush's granddaughter. The other is Berta Reichenbaum's grandson, David Renton, who has been the chair of this year's Limud conference, a quite outstanding event that we have all enjoyed. So why do I choose to share the story of Lily and Berta with you? Well, as I reflect on the last 3 years and I think about what Limud does, what it has given me, our volunteers and each of our participants, I've come to believe that it is ultimately about inspiring the next generation. It's about building a meaningful Jewish community, the very thing that our grandmothers were thinking about all those years ago. Some people have asked me if I'm going to give a Limud State of the Union address, a testimony of what I have achieved over the last 3 years. Well, thankfully, I'm not, but mostly because this is not about what I have achieved. It can only be, and has always been, about what we, the entirety of the Limud community, have achieved. It may sound corny, but Limud isn't built top down. It is created from the bottom up. Limud is nothing without the hundreds upon hundreds of volunteers that work tirelessly year-round, here and abroad, creating events that inspire, stimulate and excite the mind, body and soul. And it is nothing without the thousands upon thousands of participants, such as yourselves, who come to those events, who learn together, celebrate together, and are ultimately inspired to go back to their communities and to give back to those communities. To quote my kids, it has been an awesome 3 years. It has been a privilege to lead this organisation, an organisation that has changed the face of the Jewish global community over its 32 years, that has changed the way that people interact with each other, the way that people learn together, and has created spaces where we can be together rather than apart. And it has impacted people far beyond Limud. It has inspired the development of new organisations, the establishment of cross-communal schools, the creation of new communities, as well as many friendships and the odd few marriages. I love the fact that over the last few years, we have become a reference point in the Jewish community worldwide for being creative, for being propelled by grassroots energy, and for being a positive, future-focused organisation. We have become a barometer for what works. There are, of course, a few thank yous that need to be made. As ever, I will do my best to keep that short and sweet. But our volunteers work tirelessly behind the scenes and they rarely get any public recognition. Over the last few years, I have never failed to be amazed by their energy, their commitment and their sheer hard work. I want to thank all the teams that have created Limud Conference, Limud Fest and our many regional events over those years. This is what you get to experience and participate in. I have thanked each of these teams before, but for David Renton and this year's conference team, what an amazing job you have done. I know the hours and hours of work that you have invested in this, and I hope you've had a chance to give yourselves a well-deserved pat on the back, and that you can look back and see what you have personally gained from your experience. On the screen behind me, you're seeing the names, shortly, of the 400 volunteers that have worked on our events. They are real people, I promise. On the screen behind me, you're seeing the names of the 400 volunteers that have worked on our events and our support teams here in the UK over the last year. There you go. What you're not seeing is the list